On.
Well, these aren't as fun when they get absolutely smudged.
They got schmacked today. Honestly, you kind of saw it coming though. 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. start, middle of the day on a Saturday. They've never ever played good a
Well,
single
it
time
just
in a game
reminded
like
me of
that.
I went to a party at somebody's house when they played them in game one of 2024 playoffs, and it was like the middle of the day, Saturday, and it was just horrible
I don't know.
flashbacks.
I don't know why they have those start times. Jokic is a player that is just he is so consistent in all of his routines and everything he does. I
It's like
swear,
SBA.
every single time he has a game every other 2 days, he's in an incredible rhythm. But
Yeah,
when you throw it off, when you don't play for 3 days, or when you I mean he's all right on back to backs, but like I swear every time he plays an early game, it does not go well, and especially for him more than anybody else. I don't know
yeah.
why, but man,
Well,
it was
it was
rough. It was rough.
it was weird because I don't know. I mean, you have to think and remember that these people are human, even Nikola Jokic. Because first quarter goes 6 for 7, 13 points. Amazing first quarter. Looks like he could go for 40 plus. And then just stops
Legitimately.
and then just stops
Yeah.
shooting. And I think part of it, he wasn't getting calls that he wanted. And
Yep.
then he
Yep.
dropped a couple passes and yeah, I think he just kind of got upset. I think it kind of set the tone for the rest of the team that everyone else was
There
kind of like,
was there was this weird moment where so Russ threw a pass to Jokic and he kind of bobbled it. Minnesota grabbed it, went the other way,
and
and
Russ
then
just there.
yeah, well there was one before that, and then it happened
Mm.
again a couple plays later.
I
Russ,
never seen
it
it.
was a pretty good pass to Jokic. He probably should have caught it. I mean, it was a bullet, but he probably should have caught it. It's funny because we were talking about how his hands are the best of all time, and he was dropping
So
passes all over
generational.
the place tonight.
Yeah.
But so that happened, and then he did not get back at all, and Russ just literally stood there. He just like
Yeah.
watched
Which I've
Minnesota run
never
back.
seen before. I
I've never seen him
was
do
yelling
that.
at him through the TV. I was like, Russ, like get back, dude.
I know it was very weird. I haven't ever seen him do that, and I think those little moments at the beginning, it just sent a message to the entire team. They did not have the requisite fight in this
Yeah,
game to compete.
yeah.
They just didn't. So
So good, decent first quarter. Jamal was looking good. He kept them in it. Second quarter,
yeah, yep.
man, and then
Can
they
we
just
can we talk about Michael Porter for a second? It
soft
is
as Sharman. Soft as Sharman. I'm gonna put toilet
my
paper.
my basketball coach in high school. Do you remember this?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm
He
saying.
used okay. He used to put Charmin toilet paper on top of the backboard every time we were playing soft in a practice, and he would during games at halftime if we were playing bad, he would come in and throw toilet paper at us in the middle of the
Playing
games.
soft is such a bad thing to do in
It's so
basketball.
frustrating. And Michael Porter is soft. He's soft, man. He can't handle the physicality. He just
And
can't do it.
that's why I'm nervous about this Knicks game coming up. Because
Did you see what the Knicks did to Sacramento tonight? Another very soft team.
yeah,
They beat
they
them by
put
30.
140 up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was Sacramento's a soft team, and so Denver will beat them in the playoffs easily if they matched up with them.
Yeah.
But you know, Knicks they're a tough team. Minnesota's a tough team, and I'm telling you, man, Houston is another like they're not soft.
Yeah.
They're a tough
I
team.
I'm still not that worried about Houston.
Yeah, I know you're not. I've been watching them play, and anyways, I don't want to get too sidetracked, but Michael Porter he lost to McDaniel's like 3 times on backdoor cuts in the first quarter alone.
And
He
then
gave
coming
up
up with
offensive
guys.
rebounds. He's catching the ball, and he's doing the like what seventh graders do. You know, he's catching it and just
I've
like
seen
turning
you do
away from the basket. Yeah, I've done it before. But you know what I mean?
that. Yeah, soft.
It's frustrating to watch, and
And I
so
mean, it's just like, uh, yeah. I mean, he was. You look at the stats, and he was 3 for 6 and from three, which doesn't look terrible. But his defense, he was minus 17.
The rebounding was really bad tonight.
Jokic led in the
Um,
minus 20 with a minus 24.
So couple Jokic stats. Jokic had 0 personal fouls tonight.
Charming.
He had 3 rebounds, and he had 6 shots after the first quarter.
I think it was just a mental kind of lapse. I don't know
And
how else.
and we can keep
Defense. That's what it was. They just were timid, and Minnesota's just tough. They're just
yeah,
tough.
they're tough, man, and they wanted this one. They came in ready to go from the very beginning,
I thought Anthony Edwards was gonna have a terrible game because he was sick,
and then
and
he
he had
fried
his
them.
MJ flu game. Even though he traveled on that logo three, did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
He just
And
was standing there, just like hopped, and then shot it without dribbling.
yeah,
I mean,
so
I wasn't that mad. I get more mad than at other games, but that was just. It was not very typical because the Nuggets usually will come back.
did you? Michael Malone said after the game, I think he said it perfectly. He's like, that was just very uncharacteristic from our
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
I don't think he really knew how to analyze it because they don't. I mean, they are. I think Michael Porter has tendencies to be soft. I think Jamal has tendencies to be a little bit soft, but Jokic isn't soft. I don't know. I mean, he was so bad on defense tonight.
Play soft, and I think he did. There was a few times where I wanted him to foul somebody, like Julius
I know
Randle,
0 personal fouls, 0 fouls tonight.
and he didn't. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think Aaron
7
Gordon
turnovers.
was great.
Yeah,
either.
Aaron Gordon.
Which
Yeah, you want
he's
to? What are your thoughts on Aaron Gordon? What do you think is going on with him?
catalyst of the comebacks. He's usually one making huge plays, and then that gets like MPJ fired up. So then he starts hitting shots, and then everybody kind of starts hitting shots. And they just looked gassed. Obviously, he looked hurt. Everyone's worried about him. He says he didn't feel it
Yeah,
going into the game.
He says
But-
He says not my calf. He says it's not my calf. It's something else. He says
I think he's
after
got
the
like.
game.
Well, Coach Malone was saying he went to the men's room. Maybe he's got like some stomach issues or something, man.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him, man. He says also he's ready to go for more minutes. So he's saying I'm not feeling great, and he's reaching down on his leg, and he looks like he's injured, but then he's also saying
Do you
he's ready
think
to
he's
go
mental?
for more
Do you
minutes.
think it's a mental thing?
I think today he was frustrated that he
Mhm.
wasn't
Oh.
starting. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
today he was frustrated.
I don't know if we talked about that last podcast.
We did a
but
little bit, yeah.
He's not going to come off the bench. He's going to start.
No.
He has to. He said
Ryan Blackburn tweeted, he's like, I think it's time to go back
Yeah.
to the original starting lineup, and it's a tough choice because I thought Russ was actually pretty good besides the turnovers today, but his size was really hurting them on the defensive end. He kept
Yeah.
he kept getting switched on to Randall. Randall's too big. McDaniels is too big. I mean, Gobert was.
They
get
have
switched
him
on to
in
Westbrook.
head space too. That team, they're in the Nuggets'
Yeah.
head. They
Yeah.
just like it's
a real
like,
thing.
It is absolutely, and in a 7-game series, obviously things can change, and you can get out of a funk. But that's
So as a competitor, if you're playing against someone who's beat you 3 or 4 times in a row, what are you thinking going into that game, trying to approach it? Like what's the psychology to try and get out of a funk like that?
It just has to be energy. You have to keep strong, positive energy on the defensive end. You have to talk. You have to
Yeah.
make them feel like you're not timid and scared. Once they see
Yep.
somebody pouting, it's just like a
over.
cheetah attacking its prey. Like it's just game over. They see that Anthony Edwards is gonna stomp on that.
And that's a team who is hypersensitive to body language.
Yeah.
Minnesota, and Denver's body language was so bad in the first
Yeah.
half. And then even coming out into the third quarter, it was bad. There was no pep in their step. There was no urgency. They turned it over the very first play coming out of halftime with a chance to kind of get it into single digits. I think Minnesota scored 6 points in 45 seconds, and it was 17, and it was over from there. Anyways,
Bright side,
yeah,
definitely Peyton Watson.
absolutely. The only well, Jamal's offense I think was good, but
Yeah.
talk about Peyton Watson a little bit.
He just has confidence. He's got some swagger. That help side block on Julius, even though they gave up a defensive rebound and Minnesota scored, like you just could, as a person watching, you saw that and you said, okay, Peyton's there. Like you started seeing him wind up, and you're like, please get there, and he got there, man. And he's coming into it. I think Julian, when I think of what the Nuggets really need, I think of those two guys a lot because a lot, coming off the bench weighs on them. And Julian, played terrible. But Peyton Watson played really good. And it's just it's hard not to think about the playoffs come playoff time. I think Peyton Watson is getting ready and is going to be ready for the playoffs.
He doesn't have a lot of trust. He doesn't have a lot of trust right now. It feels like with Coach Malone. For some reason, he's not playing over 20 minutes ever,
which is crazy.
I think when he came into the game, he changed the whole entire tone of the game. It was the only time. It was the only time in the entire game that they had more than 2 or 3 consecutive stops in a row.
Mm-hmm.
He's flying around. He was the only one that wasn't letting the guards just blow by to the basket. Yeah. He was getting in front.
Yep.
His help side defense was there when people did let their defender blow by. And, I think his offense is kind of non-existent right now. There's just not a lot of confidence for him to create, which I think he has the potential to be a creator.
That pass. That pass between Naz Reid's legs, I think it was.
Yeah, that just energy plays. Just energy
that's
plays.
2 games in a row he's had, seasonal passes.
Yeah,
like
really
some of the best passes of the season.
So
and, I don't know, that
tough,
gives him some confidence, and they, there's language around that, him becoming a playmaker, but yeah, he just needs to get more minutes, I think. And
I just think they need his defense really, really bad, and especially in a matchup like that, you have look at Jared Vanderbilt back on the Lakers today,
just to lock up.
He was just causing mayhem out there because he was flying around, making people uncomfortable, and I think that's what Peyton Watson is able to do for Denver. And they need to enable him to be able to do that and give him the confidence to do that and reward him when he's doing that. And that's why I was frustrated he didn't get more minutes when no one else was giving the right energy. Any thoughts on Jamal? I don't have a ton of takeaways. I thought he played all right. I thought he played pretty well on offense, but just
he looked good. It just, it was just a defensive nightmare, and I think that's just what it was. And looking at the NBA today was like worst case scenario.
I know.
They were
it really was.
2.5 back. Houston, Memphis both win, so now they're 2.5 back. Nuggets lose. Lakers win, which I'm not too worried about. They still have a 2-game cushion in the 5th seed. But we really feel like they're just making that run right now to get to that 2 seed, which I really
still
think
a lot of time left.
We're halfway.
Here's one thing you want to pay attention to. Last year, they were so set on chasing that 1 seed that they were going balls to the wall till game 82, right?
Yeah.
And I think whether you want to admit it or not, or whether you think it's important or not, I don't think they had a lot of physical energy left to exert once they got to the playoffs. And so you want to be in the 2 or 3 seed pretty safely by March, if that's your goal. You're not going to catch the Thunder. There's no chance. But you want to be at least within a game or have the tie break pretty close by March if you want to be a 2 or 3 seed, and you have to be the 2 or 3 seed if you want to, or else you're playing the Thunder in the second round, and maybe that's good for Denver. I don't know. Maybe you don't shy away from that, but
I think Denver definitely.
do you really want the Lakers in the first round again?
No, I really don't.
I just don't want to watch them play the Lakers again.
It's just so much of this drama. Like, yeah, we're gonna beat them. Of course we will. But
You feel like your luck's gonna run out sometime just because it's LeBron, though.
yeah, I know it's still, and Austin Reeves is playing at an all-time level. I still
They got
think
some
that
defense back. They got some defense.
I mean,
Dorian Finney-Smith has
Jamal-
been good.
Michael Porter Jr. in LA.
Yeah,
In the
they
stands.
have that mental edge, and it's hard to take that away, right? It's
They
tough.
do. I'd rather play them than Minnesota or
So
I don't know.
I had one question for you. There was a lot of debate online after the game about whether or not you flush this game, however you want to interpret that. Do you flush this game if you're Denver and just you say, it was a weird game, they kicked our butts, or do you? I don't know. What's the alternative?
No,
I
you
guess.
got to use it. I think you got to use it as motivation, and I think competitors like Nikola Jokic and Jamal will, like they got embarrassed on live TV in the middle of a heated MVP debate. Like I know Jokic doesn't care about that, but
He cares
it's
more than he used to.
he's playing. I mean, he's playing his best basketball, and he said that, which he doesn't say stuff like
He
that
doesn't
very
ever
much.
say that. He doesn't ever
Yeah.
say that.
And so I think it stings. I think they're staying up. I think they're up right now thinking about it. I think Jokic and Murray are bugged. They should be bugged. I think Michael
Yeah.
Porter's probably down. I think they're all kind of down. Like that's just embarrassing. They never got back in that game. And they got to use that as motivation because they have a really. Do they play the
Yeah.
Knicks next? Right?
Yeah, well, they play Chicago and then New York, and you
Oh,
have a
that's
chance in New York to bounce back, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what they got to do. I mean, they definitely still got to focus on Chicago. They can be good, and the
Yeah,
Nuggets.
that's
sometimes-
a sneaky
Yeah.
game. Zach Levine might go off because he's
Teams
trying
have
to
all
get
these-
himself traded.
Yeah,
Right.
fake shooting nights against the Nuggets. I could see that 100%. I could see Kobe White going for 10 threes.
Vucevic just going so hard because he's playing Jokic. All those Europeans love playing against Jokic and trying as hard as they possibly
That's
can.
not really good. I
Yeah,
don't-
they
But-
should be better than they are.
Yeah. So they've got Chicago and then New York. I think they'll pull away in Chicago probably late in the fourth, but they got to use that. They got to remember that. Yeah, no flushing.
I agree.
think
I am pro no flush. Use it as motivation,
Yeah.
especially because this team knocked you out of the playoffs last year.
And yeah, for me, I mean, I think that's how people play better when they're just a little bit angry. Like you
Yeah,
gotta stay
and-
cool, of course, but
And you have to wonder. This team
Yeah,
has a
yeah.
really hard time with not having long win streaks
yeah, I know.
because
Yeah.
they're not motivated almost by winning. They're motivated by losing. Historically, they've been really good coming
That's-
off of big losses, right?
And that's Jokic.
Yep.
He hates losing more than he likes to win, I think.
And that whole team is that way. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's just because of Jokic. I really do.
Yep.
And, and they all show up when it matters the most. And so yeah, it's a tough loss. I like you want to turn off the game so bad, and I've been better at that. I've just been like, just if you say you're the biggest Nuggets fan, just be with them when they're down.
On a scale of 1 to 10 from turn offable, that was like a 9.5.
I was sitting there. I was just watching on my laptop, like, oh, I want to just turn this off so bad, and I just kept watching and kept watching. And kept
When there's no text exchanged from us
Yeah.
during the game, it's bad.
the whole game. Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, one kind of overall takeaway, big picture. there might be a silver lining to this game, and that is this might make Calvin Booth actually pick up the phone and start calling around the league because he realized we are still not close to matching up with Minnesota and or another very physical team like Oklahoma City or Houston. And maybe he starts ramping up those trade talks again before the trade deadline, and they're not content going into the trade deadline like they might have been if they just kept winning games, right?
Yeah.
So again, I don't have a whole lot of names that they can go after. There's not a whole lot of people that they can afford, or there's not a lot of flexibility there. I do think that Chris Boucher is a really interesting trade candidate. I think Davion Mitchell, someone like him who can just be a dog defensively. There's a couple other guys out there that are interesting. But anyways, I think that might be a silver lining to this game. I think.
Yeah, it could be. I don't have a lot of faith in Calvin Booth. I hope. I hope.
I'm just saying, if it wakes up Jokic, if it wakes up Jamal, it might wake up the front office as well a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that might not be a bad thing, especially at this time of the season.
Yeah.
You can tell teams are playing very interesting basketball right now. Lakers are trying to prove that they're contenders so that they can buy at the trade deadline. Golden State is playing so bad because they know they're not contenders, and they know that there's probably not a trade that's going to fix them. Phoenix is playing really well because they probably believe maybe they're a piece or two away. And so you just watch the teams and how they're playing around the trade deadline. It's really interesting to see who believes that they actually have a chance. Milwaukee's another team playing really well right now. Mm-hmm. Probably want to be buyers. Denver has been playing well. This might make them change their mind a little bit.
We're both in business, and you got to remember that basketball is a business. It's a huge business.
It's a business.
Some people are good at business and some people are bad at business, and it's apparent in the NBA who is what. And sometimes you take risks, and sometimes they pay off.
And here's another thing about business, right? You have individual contributors who are really good at one specific skill set, like coding, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have people leaders who are good at building relationships and making deals and selling and influencing. Mm-hmm. Can you guess which one Calvin Booth is good at?
Coding.
He's a coder. He's a coder. He's a specialist. He's really good at drafting. He's good at like looking at talent in the pipeline and saying that guy's going to be a good NBA player. He's a terrible negotiator, and it's been obvious through his tenure. He does not have this skill set.
Yeah.
He's not a salesman. He's a smart basketball mind, but he has no business being in this position. He should probably have stayed a scout because he's really good at that.
Yeah.
But it's just apparent he doesn't have that skill set, and it's concerning.
Yeah,
it's definitely concerning.
It's tough, but I mean, you look at what they built to win a championship. It's pretty impressive, but then you kind of just let it go.
Yeah,
and it's not over. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough loss, but it's basketball.
It was.
There's still I still think if they win in Chicago, if they lose in Chicago, I'm gonna be a little worried. But
I mean, I don't even care if they lose to Chicago. I want to see him get up for that Knicks game. I want to see him bring the fight. I just want to see it. I want to see some toughness, see some rebounding. Don't let Josh Hart go and get 15 rebounds. Does this change your outlook on the team from what it was a couple days ago in any way?
Maybe just no, I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. I just think Julian Strawther needs to be more consistent. That's a big thing.
He has. I don't think he took bad shots tonight. I just think they didn't fall, and sometimes they don't fall.
he just misses shots that he needs to make. Wide
Yeah.
open,
Yeah.
transition, momentum threes. He misses them.
Yeah.
And yeah, he had a good game the other night. And I hope he can figure it out. I mean, he's not playing terrible,
Yeah.
but I really think the bench, you know, needs something more consistent. So, yeah, I don't know. Does it change your thoughts and feelings about the team?
I think I just don't want to play Minnesota in the playoffs, and as long as we don't do that, I think we're okay.
Yeah, yeah. I
To
don't
be
either.
honest,
Really don't. I
um,
I, I think they'll win. I think, dude, they shouldn't have lost, and when they had Carl Anthony Towns, and
yeah,
I mean maybe they were a little bit better last year with KCP, but
it's
I
it's
think they'll
such
be
it's
okay.
such a hard thing to break down and analyze why they have such a hard time with this team. But it really does come down to they're a team that usually scores 60 to 70 points in the paint, and Rudy does not allow them to get comfortable in the paint.
Mhm.
And when they're not running their sets and they're getting those easy shots, it can get really ugly really quickly with Denver. And so, but they figured it out in the past. They
Yeah,
figured it out, and they've looked really good against them, and they've looked really bad against them. So it's very strange. It's
it's
such
I
a
mean
it's a mental battle, right?
it's
It's
a good rivalry. I thought that was a fitting game for rivalry week.
rivalry,
Uh,
rivalry, rivalry,
yeah, I like
rivalry,
it.
rivalry.
I mean, I hope they
Yeah.
just what's the did they played them twice, right? Did they beat them last time or did they lose?
That was the game that Christian Brown posted Rudy, and they were up by 10 with 4 minutes left, and they blew it. It was like
Uh,
one of the first games of the season.
Bugger.
So 0-2 against Minnesota, lost four straight. They had two more games against them home, both at home, later in the season. So we'll look forward to those ones.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well,
All right, man. We'll catch you next time.
after Chicago.
Yeah.
All
Talk to you
right.
later. Bye bye.